Let's have a quick view on the degree of usability in the LG Optimus 3D phone. Overall, the phone is fairly easy to use. It does have some issues and it's not perfect in any manner, but it's not worse usability-wise than many other phones on the market these days. Let me just briefly go through some of the features. I'll point out some good and some bad things. So there's nothing revolutionary about the home screen. The home screen has pagination on the top, where you can scroll between different screens and add widgets or icons to each of them. And it's fairly easy to see which screen you are on based on the red dot up here. You have access to a number of shortcuts up here, muting, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS and more. And you have access to the music player here, which makes a lot of sense, both because many people use music players in their phones all of the time and want a quick shortcut, and also especially on this phone because it's a phone with 3D features, and you would expect people that were purchasing a phone with 3D features to be interested in multimedia overall. So there's nothing revolutionary about the home screen. It's not especially easy or especially hard to use. There's nothing revolutionary about how I add icons. I can either go into my applications, long press something, and then move it to a specific field on the screen. And if I want to remove it, I long press it again and remove it down here. I can also long press the screen itself, and I'll have a number of functionalities that will help me add widgets, folders, stuff like that. It's fairly easy to understand what I get when I press on each of the icons down here. And not only are the icons simple, all of them also have a little text that makes sure that I understand what's there. And it's actually very, very nice to have these small texts in my mind, because an image can say more than 1,000 wrong words, and sometimes it's very difficult to get the right meaning of a application into an icon. Now, an issue that you've probably noticed a few times here is that down here we have 4 different icons. Search icon, go back icon, home icon, and then an icon over here which is not very easy to understand, but it's the icon that takes you to some sort of a list on what you can do on the page. As an example, if I'm in my messaging, then whatever things I can do with this screen is accessible from this icon. But they go away too fast. So these icons are lit up for roughly 5 seconds or something. Have a count yourself here. I'm not sure if it's 5 seconds, but it's too little. Very often I spend more than 5 seconds in an application or in a section of the phone, and then if I wish to go back or if I wish to go home, I'll have to press down here to be sure to actually find my icons, because it's very easy to miss them if you cannot see where they are, obviously. So this is a very small thing, but it's actually rather annoying that I have to find the icons every time I need to use them instead of just pressing them straight away. That I need to waste a fraction of a second, one tap. It doesn't seem as much, but it's still just annoying. Now, messaging is fairly simple. Messaging is built up into conversations as many other phones have them these days. It's not difficult to understand how to write a new message. I have a big button up here. First, you're asked to input the recipient of the message, which makes a lot of sense to me, because normally I think at a person before I think at a message. So that makes sense to me. And also I will get a little help here. If I write like this, I will have some help. The phone helps me find my phone answering machine. This is Danish for phone answering machine. So I don't have to write all of the number actually. I can just do like this. I can write my message down here. And although I don't have a very quick access and overview over special characters, I do understand the icon down here fairly easy, that I have the numbers and special characters here. So here's a funny thing. I'm not quite sure why I didn't understand this, but whenever I'm done with a word, I can press special characters up here. I have no idea why it took me 14 days to notice this. I've been using this phone every day, I've been text messaging on it every day, but it took me 14 days to understand that you do have special characters up here and not only words. The rest of the time I would be pressing down here, finding my special character, and would go back again and would think, this is cumbersome, but I understand what's going on. I think the issue here is that sometimes this is active and sometimes it's not. As you can see here, now it's not active, and I haven't yet figured out when it's active and when it's not. Again, as with the home screen, there's nothing revolutionary about this message composer. One thing that you should notice if you purchase this phone is that it by default is set to text prediction but not spell check text prediction, which means that if I try to write U and then instead of the U I hit the I, then I only have this option. I don't have the options for U, but it's possible to set this under settings. You long press down here, you have word suggestion here, and then you can put in spell correction and go back, and then suddenly things makes a lot more sense. So be sure to go into settings and find this spell correction thingy. Now another small issue is that if I go in my messages on a touch phone, I would expect something to happen when I press a message. But nothing happens. If I long press it, then I'll have some options. But why are these options hidden? Also, adding an attachment is fairly simple. You press the attachment icon down here, which is consistent with attachment icons in the rest of the world, and you have a list of options on which kind of content you can attach. It's very simple and it's very easy to understand. If I go into calling, it's actually very nice. Now the phone is pretty large, but even on the smaller screen this would still be large buttons, and they would still be very easy to read because they do have black letters on a white background. If I press something in here, I'll have a little bit of help, so I don't need to press all of the number. And then a big fat button down here for calling, another button for text messaging, and easy access to my groups, my contacts and stuff up here. My call log has phone numbers in it, so you're not going to see that one. So calling is very nice also. To find the different applications is relatively straightforward as well. I simply press applications, and I have here all my applications sorted alphabetically. Now I do say that I don't compare phones too much, but you will notice that in a review of an HTC Desire phone I commented that this manner of structuring the functionalities after their first letter did have some problems when you would put in a lot of apps that you would download from Android market or similar. But LG has been clever here, and down at the bottom they have put downloads. So this means obviously that if you download an application, it doesn't get put into base applications up here, so they won't move around too much, and it'll be fairly easy to recognize where the icons are on the screen. Obviously, if you download 35 applications, you do have issues down here, because down here they're sorted after their first letter also. Also, you go straight into applications, but on top of applications, you have a shortcut to the 3D applications that this phone offers, which is also very nice, and it's very nice that they're not promoted too much, that you don't go directly into 3D universe or something, and also that the 3D applications aren't scattered or put in between the normal applications, because they do have some characteristics. As an example, they make your head hurt. So the camera is pretty simple to use as well, although it takes some time to open it. This is how much it takes roughly to open a camera, but when you're in here it's actually simple to use. You have a big button here that makes you take the picture. You can switch from 2D to 3D here. You can switch from video camera to normal camera here. You have icons over here that are easy to understand, such as the flash, which also gives you very large icons to use here, so thank you for that. So your settings over here are structured in a manner that makes sense and are easy to understand as well. and pretty simple to use. You press something here, and over here something will change, and you can set it over here. And also down here in the corner you'll have access to photos, a gallery. I'm not going to show that because there are too many private pictures down here. So the camera is pretty easy to use as well, although it takes a little too long to open the camera and a little too long to actually take the picture. But then once you've taken it, you have some options over here for sharing, setting, renaming and stuff like that, which all fits to the use case. I just taken a picture, I want to do something with it. So here's a little thing usability wise. If I take a picture, the picture will be here until I discard it by deleting it, or until I go back to the camera by pressing the camera icon here. Now this is a digital camera, and digital cameras makes me and a lot of other people take 6 or 7 pictures in a row of the same motive, because then they have the perfect picture or something, which means that I should have very easy and quick access back to the viewfinder, to the actual camera. It might seem as a detail, but you'll have to notice, you'll have to look through these ones first to see, oh, this is deletion, this is camera, I guess it takes me back, this is the gallery. Now what I want is a big fat one here with the camera, or back, or OK or something, that jumps straight in my face and tells me this is where you press if you want to have another picture. Now this might seem like a small detail, but it's rather annoying that you have to understand the icons here first in order to know what to do if you want to have another picture. It actually took me 7 or 8 or 12 attempts with images with the camera before I understood that this one here, the little one here in the middle, that just looks like something a fly put there, is actually what takes you back. So LG, please put a fat big button down here that jumps into my face, so I don't have to learn what to do, but I'm seeing it straight away. So the big fancy thing with this phone is that it has 3D. It can display 3D movies, 3D images, and it actually has 2 cameras on the other side of the phone, so it can capture 3D images and 3D movies as well. Also it has some 3D games and other 3D stuff. I'm just going to show a little bit of it. Obviously, and sorry for that, I don't film this phone with 2 cameras, so I don't have a 3D YouTube video. But you get, if you press 3D space, you'll have a landscape thing that looks roughly like this. Again, you cannot see this on a YouTube video, but it actually makes a lot of sense, and it jumps straight into your face as it is supposed to do. Now the 3D effect works fine if you have the phone in the right position, and also you have a 3D guide here where you learn that if you want to view this, you have a so-called sweet spot, that is these 30 to 40 centimeters from the actual screen. Also, if you watch one of the movies here in 3D, you will in real life see that the 3D effect is very convincing. The big problem with this whole feature set is that even though you're looking at the so-called sweet spot, even though that it looks very nice and the graphics are dazzling, your eyes and your head will hurt after 5, 6, 10 minutes. At least mine does. And the functionality that I get in this 3D universe is not something that dazzles me so much that I want to have a constant headache when I'm using my phone. How the so-called universe is structured, the size of the icons, the fields that you touch, the areas that you touch here, and the nice 3D idea with swiping the phone and moving this universe around is very easy to understand and very easy to see. So the usability degree of this is actually fairly high. But in my mind it's not very usable because there are some physical aspects to it that makes it hard to understand why you should use it. So overall this is a nice phone. It's fairly simple to use. There are some issues here and there that requires a little bit of training, but it's not bad, and it's not something that has been destroyed by 3D or by the 3D universe.